So yes, now since we are talking about the next iteration structure, the while, we are going to talk about this example. So since I was not recording so far, I will go through this again, right, in a short time of period. So like you can use the keyword while and the condition and the keyword called do, and then under that statement, the very first line will be considered as the very first statement, or like the statement which belongs to the while loop, right? And as we discussed earlier, like sometimes, sometimes.
But why is it not getting off? Daddy, why is it not getting off?
I don't know, so I have to check it after the class. Huh? I'm still in the class, right? After the class, I will check it. Huh? Right. So as we use a begin and end to indicate a block of statements in repetition, like if the while is going to have more than one statement. Now in this example, they got only one statement. In case if they have more than one statement, you have to use a block like this. That means a begin and an end under the while loop. So then you can specify more than one particular statement under it, right? So here, if I hand trace this, now right, so let me take the variable called number. Right, so number is having 1 as its first value, so that means this statement is executed. Then the while loop comes, so it says while number less than or equal 10 do, so that means the condition. So it checks whether the value of number is less than or equal to 10. So yes, value of number is less than 10, not equal but less than 10. Then if when this condition is correct, that means it's going to execute this line. In case if this condition is incorrect, they are not going to go inside the while loop. Instead of that, they are going to skip the while loop. But here in this example, our while loop condition is not incorrect, that means it's true. So it is going to execute this particular statement. Now this particular statement says, take the current value of the number, add a 1, and assign it to the number again. Right? So value of number is going to become 2 due to this statement. So since you are at the end of the while loop, that means like at the very last statements of the while loop, how we are going to recognize whether it is the last statement of the while loop or not? You can see there is a semicolon, right, at the end of this statement. So that's how it indicates the end of the while loop. So while start from the keyword and ends with a semicolon, right? So in between, you won't find any more semicolons if there is only one line. But if there is going to be a block of lines, you will be finding semicolon at the end of any particular statement, right? We will come to that with the example. So for the moment, the value of the number was 1, and from this statement, it increased by 1. Right, my mistake. And now what's going on is, since it is at the very end of the while loop, it goes and checks the condition again. That's how, that's what we call the nature of the while. Because if it is an if statement, we are not going to check the argument again and again, or the condition again and again, because it is not an iterative structure. If is a selection structure. So if is working under a condition, so if that condition is true, there will be certain things to perform, then it will perform that and continue further. If it is wrong, then it's go to the else part and do the things what they have and continue further towards the end. But iteration is not like that. Iteration happens like based on a one particular condition, and inside that condition there will be some statements or some tasks to be done, and that will be repeated until the condition is true. Right? So the same happens over here. So previously the value of number is 1. So this condition got correct. So it increased by 1. So it become 2. Now the condition is checks again. Right? So this condition still says it is true. Number less than or equal 10. So number is 2. 2 is less than 10, not equals. So it is true. So value of number will be increased by 1. That means 3. So likewise, yes, people, how far this number can grow? Like up to what point that the number is going to grow? Yes, people, any suggestions? කොතන්ට වෙනකන්ද මේ number එක grow වෙන්නේ? මේ condition එක true වෙලා තියෙනකන් එයා grow වෙනවා. Manisha until 9 for Manisha. So if we say this is going to be 9, Chandra says it's 10. Right? So Binadi says it's 11. Let's see. Right now, if it is 9 over here, that means you are going to gain the 9 from this statement. This is where the number is increasing up to the 9. So then it goes and checks the condition again. So the condition is asking the question whether the number is less than or equal to 10. So it is not equals, but it is less than. Right? 9 means a less than. Right? So less than means the condition is still true. So it is asking the number to increase by 1. So 9 will become 10. Right? Then it goes back and checks again whether the number is less than or equal to 10. Still, 10 is something not less, but equals. So still the condition is true. So number will get increased by 1. That means 10 is going to become 11. Now after the 11, when the number becomes 11, it is neither less than and no equals to 10. So then it stops working. Right? So that is how the iteration or the repetition is happening. Hold on a second, people. Yeah, people, I was just away for a minute. So that is how it happens. Now, when the value of the number becomes 11, then only the repetition stops. Right? So until number becomes 11, this condition was always true. Right? So whenever this is happen, it goes and checks the condition and repeat this if it is true. So when this is false, that means it comes out of that repetition and stays at the like stays to the connecting to the next line of the program. Right now in the example 2, they don't have any next line, it is the end of the program. But if there is, they are going to continue with the next line when the condition is false. Right? So to sum up the things, while is working, there is a condition. When it is true, repetition will happen. If it is false, repetition will stop. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, so let's continue. Let's write these things down. So have the heading while do loop, and you have to copy the this explanation, right? Plus the second example. Right. Let me know when you are done, people. All right, one is done. How about others? Okay, so I'm moving forward. So it's better we write the explanation regarding the second example. So copy this as well. Then we'll jump to the repeat until part. Okay, two are done. How about others? Is there anyone who is still writing this? Okay, so let's go to the repeat until structure. So now repeat until structure act in a way that completely opposite to the while loop, right? So like you can remember the while do loop does the things according to like until the condition is true, like for how many times the condition makes like represent as a true condition, it repeats until the condition is true. And when it comes to the repeat until, the structure goes in do a major difference, because in the while structure you can find the condition at the top of the structure at the beginning, but here in the repeat until you can't find the condition at the top of the structure. Instead of that, you will find the condition at the end of the structure. That is one major difference. And again, the other major difference is repeat until structure works when this condition is false, or like repeat until structure will repeat these statements which belongs to the repeat until structure when this condition is false. At any time when they find this condition is true, they are going to exit the repeat until structure. So you better remember what's the major differences in between while do and the repeat until. And again, unlike the for loop, we can use while do and repeat until structure to represent any kind of iteration or repetition, right? Because for loop is there to indicate an incremental manner or a decremental manner of a particular count. But when it comes to the while and the repeat until, we can represent any type of repetition. It doesn't matter whether it is an incremental one or a decremental one. Any type of repetitions can be illustrated by while and the repeat until, right? And another difference, like when it comes to the while loop, if this condition is false, right? Like if they found this condition is false at the very first time when they are reaching to this point, this particular statement will never execute. පටන් ගන්න වෙලාවෙම මෙයා වැරදි කියලා තිබුණොත් කවදාවත් මේක execute වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කෙලිම while එකෙන් exit වෙනවා. But when it comes to the repeat until, since the condition checks at the end, even though this is true, these two will execute for the very first time, or like in the very first iteration. Then they will find this condition is true. Because of it is being true, they will exit the repeat until. Right? So that means when it comes to the repeat until, executing at least for one time is possible regarding the iterative statements. But in while do loop, there is a possibility that we can make it to be not to be executed at some certain points. People, did you get that? Yes, everyone? Is that clear? Yeah, yes. Manisha, what I'm saying is, Manisha, are you asking about the point that I have explained lastly, or the entire thing? Yeah, so like, is it the last point, Dua, or like the entire thing, like from the beginning? All right, okay. So like, it's like this, Dua. Like what I'm saying is now, think about this situation, like when it comes to the second example, just assume that this number got the value 11. If this number is 11, when they are checking this condition, number less than or equals 10 is false. That means this particular statement will never going to execute under that particular condition, right? That means මෙයා එක සැරයක්වත් execute වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙයා 11 වෙලා තිබුණා. So if we are trying to apply the same situation, the repeat until එකේදී මෙයා true නංනේ repeat නොවී තියෙන්නේ. මෙයා false නම් තමයි they are going to repeat. Now think about the value of the count is 6, right? So here it is not 0, it is 6. If it is 6, repeat will be executed and right ln Pascal will be executed. Count will increase by 1. That means 6 will become 7. Then this condition is false. I'm sorry. Then this condition is true. True means it is not going to repeat. But at the beginning, when the count equals 6 means for that moment, still this condition is false. That condition is true. That means it is not supposed to iterate. Right? මෙයා 6 වෙලා තිබ්බොත් තියෙනවා නම් මේකේ විදිහට condition එක true නම් මේගොල්ලෝ සිද්ධ වෙන්න බෑ. ඒක තමයි logic එක. But මෙයා අන්තිමට check වෙන නිසා these two happens at least once. Got the point though? Right, great. Okay, so let's write about the repeat until structure. So this is the second structure, repeat until. Once you are done with this, let's go for the second example. So finish this first, then we'll move to the second example. Yes, Anjali, do you got a question? No, right? Okay. Right, one is done. How about others? Is there anyone who is still writing? Okay, so moving forward. So let's go with the second example, right? So write down the second example and yeah, its explanation is at the next page. We have to write down as well. So complete this, then I will move to there, right? All right, one is done. How about the others? Anyone who is still writing? Okay, so I'm moving forward. So before we move to the nested control structures, so let's go on a question. So I will type the question for you, so you can draw it on your book, and then you can try for that, right? So let me take it. I have done the diagram over here, so let me copy it from that. Okay, so let me type this. Right, so you can write down the question and start doing the first part. So the time is 6:45. Yeah, I will start discussing the first part by 7 o'clock, right? So I'll give you 15 minutes for you to figure out how the things are going to happen. So let's start discussion at 7 o'clock. So give your best shot, people, and give it a try. And once you are done, you can send me a picture through the WhatsApp if you have the facilities. So I'll go through and I'll start discussing the question at 7 o'clock. So draw it properly and write the Pascal codes. You can use any particular name for the program. It doesn't matter, right? And refer the structures that we have gone through. And if you got any questions, you can ask. Okay, everyone, how about the situation? Do you need more time or shall we discuss? Anyone who needs more time? Okay, so let's go for the development. Right, so let me take the Charm Pascal. Okay. Right, so I need the program keyword and I'm going to give row 1 as the program name. Input comma output must be there, and we need a semicolon, and we need to have begin and end. So this is the one we want, and before the begin and end we need the variable declaration, right? So like yeah, if you look into the flow chart, in the flow chart you can see there are two variables that we are using, which is x and the other one is c. So we can easily define the variables. So we'll take x comma c. We'll take those things as an integer. So we put a semicolon. So the variable initialization is done. So now the logic. So inside the begin, first we have to initialize the value, which is in this process box. X should be given the value 2 and c should be given the value 0. So in Pascal, to assign a value, we use colon equals. So x is given 2 and c colon equals, it is given 0. Right, so this the task in this process box is done. So then we are moving to the condition. So the condition that we are going to choose is the while do. So we should have while, and I can straight away take on the structure. So I have the while do at the middle. I can express the condition. So now, since this iteration happens on the years part of the condition, that means when this condition is true, then these things are going to be iterated or like repeated. So that means we can straight away use this condition as it is as the condition of the while do loop. So that means I can type x less than or equals 10. Right, so the exactly same condition. In case if it is goes on the no part, when we are taking it to the while do loop, we have to take the complete opposite. That is only when it is iterating on the no part. Right, the years part එකේ නම් iterate වෙන්නේ condition එකේ ඒ විදිහටම ගන්නවා while do loop එකට. No part එකේ iteration එක වෙනවා නම් condition එකේ විරුද්ධ එක්කෙනා තමයි අරගන්නේ opposite condition. Now if you think about the iterations, this is the condition, and there are two statements over here and one statement over here. So there are three statements which belongs to the iteration part, or like for the iteration. So that means you need a couple of begin and end. Otherwise, we can't create a block of statements for a structure. එකක් විතරක් තිබුණා නම් කෙලිම while එක යට එයා විතරක් ලියලා semicolon එක ලියලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. since there are like more than one statement, in this case there are 3, we need the begin and end block, right? So inside that begin and end, we can simply write these things. So C colon equals C plus 1, that will be the first statements. So X colon equals X plus 1, that will be the, I'm sorry, this should be C plus X. All right, so X equals X plus 1. And then to display the C, what we should use to display this, display C, how we are going to convert it into the Pascal. What's the statement or the function that we are going to use? Yes. Yeah, very good method. It should be write ln. Yes, so you have to use a write ln, and then inside I just simply show the C, right? So that's it. Because on the no path means like out of the while condition, there is nothing to do. It straight away goes to the end. So this is it. Just because of that, I'm using Charm Pascal. It need a read ln to stay like hold the screen. You don't need to write that in the examination if they ask you to do so. So just keep it, and then I can run this. So let's run it and see. Yeah, there you go. This is the output that they had generated. So it starts from 2, 2, 5, 9, 14, 20, 27, 35, 44, 54 is the answer. People, is this clear? Yes, everyone, is it clear? Lamai, is that clear, or do you got any questions? Lamai, මාව clearly ඇහෙනව නේද? Okay, right. All right, okay. Yeah, Manisha, like from which point do you need me to explain? The other people, you can make, if you got any mistakes, you can make it correct. Manisha, from which point did you, okay, from the beginning. Okay, like we normally started from the program keyword word. So like we propose a name, some particular name, input comma output is there. So according to the flow chart, there are 2 variables, right? So we have introduced those 2 variables as an integer. And in this process box, they have given the initial values. So we have assigned the initial values over here. Then we find the condition. So we took the while do loop. Since this iteration happens on the years part, we can straight away use this condition as it is as the condition of the Pascal code. if it iterates on the no path, we have to take the complete opposite of it, right? And then since this iteration has 3 statements like c equals c plus x equals x plus 1, display c, we have taken 3 statements inside the begin and end block, because without begin and end, we won't be able to write 3 things under a while, right? If it is only 1 statement, we can just write that one. But if it is more than 1 statement, we need begin and end block for the while to indicate that this is a block that belongs to the while, right? So we simply write those things, and this readln was used to hold the screen, which is not a part of the program. So it goes like that though, right? So when we run that, this is the output that it generates. Is that clear? And people who are done with this, try to find where are the places which going to differ from when we use repeat until දානකොට මේ code එක බොහොම පොඩි තැන් දෙකයි වෙනස් කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. What are those points? If you figure that out, you can easily write that code. Like you can tell me from the line numbers which lines that need to be changed when we are converting this into the repeat, like when we are writing the same program using repeat until. What are the lines that we need to change? Yes, any suggestions? Binadi, 7th line. Yes, 7th line. And Binadi, what should be the replacement? What's going to be the replacement? Yes, Binadi, it's the repeat that we have to use. So what's happened to the condition to which statement that it's going to replace? Yes, others? If I change this into the repeat, and where should be the until should go? What is the place that until should go? Yes, Binari, that's correct. Yes, so if you replace this particular one, you don't need a begin, because begin and end is indicated by the repeat and the until words. So repeat indicates the beginning. Here we can choose until. And when I'm using until, we have to use the condition over here. So what should be the condition? Now be very careful, like when we are using repeat until, these things will be repeated if the condition is false. So we won't be able to take this condition as it is into here. We have to think about the opposite of that condition. So what should be the condition? Yes, any suggestions? So what's the opposite of x less than or equal 10? The opposite of x less than or equal 10 is x larger than 10. Right? Simple as that. So less than or equal 10 means like x can have the values like 10, 9, 8, 7, likewise. So the values that it does not have is the values like 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, which are larger than the 10. So x larger than 10 should be taken as the until's condition, right? So now this is the output that we got from the previous program. It's start from the 2, so 2, 5, 9, 14, 20, 27, 35, 44, 54. So if I run this code, it's going to give you the same output. So that means these two programs are identical. Identical means that the logic is identical. Right. So yeah, so you can copy this down as the repeat until program. And if you got any questions, you can ask. And you have to try the same program from the for loop at home. I'm going to start the next class by discussing that. So you can write down this and then you can exit the session. Let's hope that we are going to meet on next week in the physical class. Let's hope and pray this hectic period is going to be over soon, right? So I'll hope to see you on next week in the class. So write this down and then you can exit the session. And don't forget to try the for loop at home. Right. So thank you very much, everyone. I will stay until all of you are leaving. So have a good night. I'll see you on next week for the very same time.